Neutral. Round start. Oh, so neutral. Actually, neutral and round start are related in a way, because some of the same reasons why you use the normals that you use account for neutral as well. So, you know, 2D is good for ranges where your opponent is trying to close the distance, or if they're running at you, or whatever else. Far slash, you're gonna press a lot of the time because it's got like good options behind it. You know, whether it's on counter hit, or you make them block it, or they get hit by it, just like normally. There's other things you can do out of it. So far slash is, I think, an important tool to make them respect the neutral, and it's the beating of some of your pressure, where you do like whiff stuff, or you do confirms, or you do puffball pressure, whatever else. So in that sense, far slash is an important tool to use in neutral and kind of learn to feel the range of. 2D is, like I said before, it's a long-reaching normal, and it's a trip that'll low profile some stuff kind of like at the end there. So like that section that's like closer to her foot, there's not really a hurt box. You can look at the hurt box itself. That resource is there, posted in the Discord as well as in other places. But Deb actually mentioned this a little bit earlier. Shoutouts to Deb, but Soul 5H, I think, will sometimes like whiff under jam 2D, or whiff over jam 2D, and like the tip will still hit, or something wacky like that. So 2D is very solid. Sometimes your follow-ups out of 2D are limited, but it's still worth using even if you can't get like insane combos out of it or anything. Like I kind of mentioned before, sometimes it's important to just learn to, you know, take the knockdown. This knockdown, if you charge a card, you're a little bit closer and you get a meaty. If you don't charge a card and you get a 2D on them, you have all this time to run up and do like whatever you decide to do for Oki. You can do like DP. There should be PK confirmed, but I missed the micro dash. But you have all this time to do like whatever else if you land a 2D. So like even though the combo utility coming out of it isn't all that good, it's still worth using in neutral because it gives you lots of options. 6P in neutral. It kind of, as you saw earlier with stuffing far slash, it does beat some things, and it's good to use sometimes in certain situations. Especially if you think your opponent's going to IED at you for whatever reason, or they're going to be coming at you through the air real low.
Mom,
it's another option.
Right now, honey. Can I help you with something?
What else?
I hope so.
2S, kind of for trying to
really
poke
good
out
at you
your
lately.
opponent's normals and
Let
counter
me
hit
have a
them,
look.
like you saw with
Oh dear.
What is it, Mom?
Milia
Just as I
2D
suspected.
earlier, and
It's
actually
nice.
to the same degree as Kai 2D.
Need a bum to bring the belching, or a situation where somebody's someone who thinks they're helping. The drums are eating healthy.
You get a stagger. So 2S has that use as well. If you know they're gonna like walk up and try and throw a 2S or 2D or something at you, you need to do a chill session on your soul. If there's enough demand for Soul Master 9000 tutorial, I'll make it happen. It's gonna be a lot shorter stream than this one though. But yeah, 2S, super good button. It is kind of stubby, but it's worth mentioning at the very least. Far slash 2 slash 2D 6P 6H.
Just write down the address where I could
6H low profiles, as I mentioned before, so using 6H in neutral, it's definitely something you have to enforce, and especially when you get counter hits, it's big damage. But like I mentioned before, it's got that little hop to it, so the distance like is different than like the distance it covers is different than you'd think. It's not just the length of the normal itself, but it's also the length of the hop. And that's an important thing. If you're trying to play footsies in neutral with 6H, just know that like you can get swept out of it if you're using it too close. So try to space it as much as you can and hit with just the tip of her boot. Give him your tippy toes. For other things in neutral, that's like some of the most important normals. 5K in neutral is good too, as we mentioned before, for like poking out certain longer hurt boxes that your opponent might have. 2K, I guess, if you're like running up trying to just like reach out at them a little bit, something like that. If they block it, you get 2K 6H into more pressure or whatever else. So there's other things you can talk about, all kinds of things in terms of neutral for normals. Those are just the most important ones. I want to talk more about like neutral theory in a way, or like not, I guess not theory, but like your game plan and what it should be, because it's neutral isn't just about playing like footsies with your normals. It's also about putting yourself in the situations where you can play footsies, like where you make your opponent whiff something and like, okay, my opponent's gonna whiff 5H or whiff 2D and then I get a 2H or 6H, or you know, because he whiffed this button, oops.
Hey, I don't need a reason to rebel.
You know, in this case, let's say, you know, Kai's looking at you and like you start running in, so he's like, I'm gonna stick out 2D and, you know, kill her for running in. Well, you can FD break, or you know, at the last second where he thinks you're gonna jump, or where he thinks you're gonna stand, you jump. You like kind of avoid his normal entirely, or avoid his footsies entirely. So it's not necessarily like you have to play rock paper scissors all the time and pick what you think they're gonna throw and throw the button that beats it. Sometimes you just don't be in that situation in the first place. Go over his 2D. If they're mashing 2D or 2S at you, jump at them. They're not going to 6P you. On the other hand, if he's mashing 6P, what can I do? You like run up 2D. Like, why would I be, you know, you're going to be in trouble if he does. Timing this is actually so hard. Yeah, you're going to be in trouble if you get hit by 6P like that. Well, what do? Just don't be in the air. It sounds like so obvious, but like I feel like that's such an easy thing to misunderstand when you're talking about playing neutral and like what normals to use and stuff like that. It's just, your neutral isn't just about the normals, it's about like, where are you on the screen? Are you full screen eating stun edge? Well, maybe you jump over it and like FD break. Wait for him to throw a normal, you wait for him to do something. Movement is so important because like up until this, basically like this range right here, you're not really all that scary. I mean, you can like region YRC and do other movement stuff, but that's based more in movement. Until this range, you don't have anything that's gonna hit Kai except maybe like, no, even puffball whiffs. 6H is like the only thing, and it's not really that hard to defend against 6H when you're at this range and you know he's gonna press 6H. If you're fighting somebody who's fought even a few jams before, they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna look out for that hop kick. So, I guess as I was saying, until you get to this range, you're not even really that much of a threat. You have obvious movement gimmicks like Region YRC or, you know, Gekirin YRC that kind of can reroute your movement options, but up until you get to like right about here, that's what you want. It's like movement. You want to be able to move around, avoid projectiles, avoid your opponent's normals, avoid whatever else you need to avoid. Whether it's through the air, or just running, or Region YRC, or Slide YRC, or whatever else you want to do if you want to spend meter on movement. Movement is very, very important, which is why I feel like it needs to be mentioned in any kind of thing about playing neutral. Is in this game, like I said, in this game in general, not just playing jam, movement is super important. So working on movement is also very important. Try making your opponent's normals whiff, or like stopping short of where they think you're gonna be, instead of worrying about like what normal's gonna be what normal. So That's just kind of like the neutral spiel. Once you get to this point though, like right here, this is far slash range. This is where you can start cooking. You're scary now. You hit far slash, do a puffball, far slash, do all that like whiff stuff or anything else. You have like actual pressure here. Especially if you're in a spot where you're the one who okayed your opponent, or like it's your turn on offense. If you're still like in range, you're super scary. If they start, mashing FD and you're back out here, you might have to like reconsider what you're doing and whether it's better to block or wait or do whatever else. But I guess the gist of it is like in neutral, stay moving, stay fluid. Stay doing. You don't always have to be doing something, but like. Think of it this way, like, if you're not moving, and if you're standing over here full screen just, like, waiting for something to happen, you're basically a stationary target for your opponent to space against. Whereas, if you're moving around, if you're jumping, if you're FD breaking, if you're, changing your trajectory and changing the spot that you are on the screen, it's that much harder for your opponent to say, this is what normal I'm going to use to pin him down. Like this is how far I'm gonna run up and hit him with 2D or something like that. You kind of make it so much harder well, just in general for your opponent. So that's important. So I guess that's the spiel on neutral. Movement, and then once you're close, you got stuff you can do. Jam at this range is super scary, and I guess this goes more into offense and pressure, but like it's worth mentioning. Once you're at 5k range especially, like you're cooking. Get in this range and this is where Jam is like the strongest against most characters. So that's the neutral thing. So reverse Gatlings is something that Jam has at her, like in her arsenal, that some other characters don't have as much of. But you can do all kinds of silly things. I mentioned this a little bit earlier with talking about normals and what Gatlings in and out. But like, if you're playing Jam and you want to practice reverse Gatlings and stuff, a good thing to do is just set your opponent to block. Figure out what you like in terms of, some block strings you might use more than others, but, another common question is how do I work on block strings? It's like, figure out what Gatling's in and out of what else, what you can do. There's all kinds of stuff that you can Gatling in and out of with Jam, which is why she can be so scary. Like, this is a really important tool to utilize, and if you're not using reverse Gatlings to, like, confuse your opponent and use different normals, you're playing like half of the character. The other half is obviously gorilla, frame traps, and damage, but like, a lot of Jam and playing Jam is confusing your opponent, and reverse Gatlings are a great way to do that. Something like this. So, I wonder if I can get it to mash.
Ladies and gentlemen, focus on the swinging of the pendulum. Good for nothing.
How do I do
Hold your
this?
tongue like
So
a frenulum. Catch me at the aqueduct. Had a couple ponies pay the charges I've been racking up. Homegirl tried to catch me, had to let her know I'm no good for acting, except for acting up. You can catch the acupuncture if you act a punk. Pack 'em in and pack 'em up. Jump around, rounding up the fakers for the break 'em in. Paper thin, crumble out.
I think because of the range it like traded, but
went from touch to honest Dave, not a grade, modern grade. Not a game. Topless since I got in shape. Show it off, not ashamed.
there we go. That's kind of what I wanted to show. This is a frame trap. 5K, 5H. They're mashing between that gap, and you're not like kind of how I was like right next to them.